We are on to Washington. Week 2 is right around the corner, and you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. We've got a preview coming up on today's show. We're going to react to the official injury report for the New York Giants, as well as I'm going to give you 4 keys to victory. 4 things the New York Giants must do if they want to get to 1-1, and I will give you my prediction of who I think is going to win this football game. Before we bounce on out of here, I'm calling it a must-win, which means you need to like the video. Because if you want the Giants to beat the Commies, hit that thumbs-up icon. We need all of the good vibes, and we need your help. Jack Sperry, host of the Commanders Report, he said we couldn't get to 1,000 likes on this video. I call BS. Let's prove him wrong. Hit that thumbs-up icon right now. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we go into an in-depth preview for this NFC East matchup, one of the longer story rivalries in the National Football League. And the Giants, they come into this one as underdogs yet again. The Giants are 1-point dogs in this game. And a stat that I just read is the Giants have now been underdogs in 17 straight games going back to last season, 1 game fewer than their longest streak in franchise history over the 1980 and 1981 season. Look, said in the initial part of the video, but this is a must-win for the New York Giants. If you start this season 0-2, and if you thought the boos were bad when the fans stayed after the game to boo Daniel Jones, it will be even worse when you get back to MetLife Stadium in Week 4 against the Dallas Cowboys. You got to win this game to get to 1-1 because the upcoming schedule is one of the hardest stretches for any team in the National Football League. I know the Browns lost in Week 1, but they played a Cowboys team who looks to be pretty dang good. Browns are one of the most talented rosters in the National Football League. That game's going to be tough, especially on the road. The Giants haven't beat the Cowboys in God knows how long. The Seahawks have beat you 2 years in a row. Joe Burrow may have a little bit of a wrist injury, so we'll continue to monitor that as we get closer. But none of these games are going to be easy. And I'll go out on a limb and say that all of these games, the Giants will be underdogs in all of them. The injury report coming out for the Giants, relatively clean, except for Darius Slayton. He is dealing with a concussion, which I think puts his game day status in jeopardy. Rookie linebacker Darius Muasau, who saw the lion's share of reps last week, is dealing with the knee. Nick McCloud also dealing with the knee. They were on the side at practice today dealing with trainers. Brian Dable said Muasau and McCloud are day-to-day, which means they're probably going to miss a couple of weeks in Brian Dable's language. He also said Slayton being on the field is a promising sign for his progress in the concussion protocol. No sign of Gunnar Olszewski dealing with the groin. Dable said he'll be out for weeks. Imagine he'll land on IR by the end of the week. I don't think that Nick McCloud is going to play. Some people I have talked to said this could be a longer-term injury than we are being led on, which means people are going to have to step up. Adoree Jackson, I think, as the weeks go on and the season progresses, is going to play more and more. You need Deonte Banks to be really good this week against Terry McLaurin. You're going to see more Cordell Flott, and I expect to see more Drew Phillips on the football field as well. If Darius Slayton is unable to go, someone's going to have to step up. And I'm looking at Jalin Hyatt. Hyatt played in just 16 snaps in Week 1. He was upset after the game. He left the locker room with his eye black still on the face. I don't think he took a shower. He was just ready to get out of there, clearly upset. In the Giants offense, it's about as non-explosive as you can get. And good thing, Jalin Hyatt can be a really explosive piece. Hopefully he plays. Hopefully Slayton plays. You need him out there. You need all your best players as you go into a game trying to win. Look, plain and simple, the Washington Commanders defense, it lacks talent at multiple levels of this defense, but it was also one of the worst defenses in the National Football League in Week 1. They gave up 37 points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't want to disrespect the Buccaneers. If you watch this channel, you would know that I don't think they're actually that good of a football team, but they lit up the Washington Commanders. Baker, 290 yards, 4 touchdowns. They just weren't really able to run the ball all that well. 15 carries there. He saw the yards per carry as well as the long. And Godwin, Rachaad White, and Mike Evans, they were dominant in the receiving game. The back end of that Commanders defense is no good, but if there is a part of the defense that is good, it is their front seven in terms of stopping the run. Washington really did a good job holding up in the run against the Buccaneers. You look at the PFF grades for every single player in this entire unit for Washington, the safeties, they did not grade out well. The corners, they did not grade out well. The D-line had some players play pretty well. Inside linebackers, they did all right. But the weak part of this defense is the back four, the back five if they're in nickel coverage and nickel concepts. So you can beat them. And if you are going to beat them, it's got to be through the air. And when we get to keys to victory, a large part of the responsibility to win this football game will be on Daniel Jones's shoulders. And I want to watch it happen, and I want you to be there with me. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and join us for our Week 2 watch party. We will be going live at an hour before kickoff on Sunday. I want to see you there. Over 53,000 people tuned in last Sunday. I want you to be there loud and proud. If you love the New York Football Giants and you're looking for a second screen atmosphere where you get to hang out with thousands and thousands of other Giants fans, you better be here Sunday. Be loud, be proud. Hit the sub button. Free videos every single day. Coming up next, my 4 keys to victory for the New York Giants. It's relatively simple because the Commanders aren't a good football team. Giants aren't really a good football team either at this point, but the way to beat the Commanders, it is very simple. And I hope Brian Dable saw what I saw when I went back and watched the film and I talked to people and looked at the advanced analytics. But first, I got to give a major shout out to a returning sponsor, Z Biotics. Thank you to Z Biotics for sponsoring Giants Now by Chat Sports once again, because it is one of my favorite sponsors to have. If you go to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use that promo code chatsports, you're going to get 15% off. You can also scan the QR code on screen. And look, let's face it. After a night with drinks or sometimes these Giant watch parties, I don't bounce back well the next day like I used to, as I'm going to be 30 coming up here pretty soon. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. The first time I tried Z-Biotic was before the Week 1 watch party last year where the Giants lost 40-0. And as instructed, I drank a bottle of pre-alcohol before any alcohol. I was amazed at how good I felt the next day. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports, use that promo code chatsports, or scan the QR code that you see on screen right now, and you're going to get 15% off your order. Support the show, support the sponsor, be a real one. All that information is clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. Key number 1, really the only thing that matters going into Sunday. Number 8, and Brian Dable needs to call a game that puts him in a spot to have success. But it is legitimately now or never for Daniel Jones. If you can't light up this Washington Commanders defense, the Giants will have to move on. If DJ looks bad this week, I think he will be benched, and I think Drew Lock will be the starter for Week 3. Because when we go through these stats, you're going to see that if you can't do it against this team, you can't do it against any team in the National Football League. And Daniel Jones has got it done against the Commanders more frequently than any of the other 30 teams in the National Football League. He's 5-1-1 in his 7 starts against the Commies. And his stats, they actually relatively are pretty good for his standards. He averages 215.7 yards per game. He's thrown 10 touchdowns in 7 games. He's only thrown 3 interceptions, so he has done a good job of taking care of the ball against them, and he has a passer rating of 98. So he is someone that has shown that against the Commanders, he can play well. He just can't turn the ball over, man. You can't have self-inflicted wounds. You can't shoot yourself in the foot. And when you have people underneath, make accurate passes, on time, on target. Daniel Jones didn't trust his eyes last week against the Minnesota Vikings. This week, he needs to. If they're open, throw it. Trust it. Don't come off, scramble, and then try to find something backside. Take what the defense gives you on time, on target. Trust your eyes. You are a good enough football player to beat the Washington Commanders. A couple of tweets that I saw on Twitter that I thought really put color to the picture of how bad this defense is in Washington. Shout out to Mike_NYY. Give him a follow. Good account. Says the Commanders' coverage grade on PFF last week was 37.5. Last in the NFL. The team ranked 31st had a 46.8 grade. So they were 10 points lower. If there was ever a week for the Giants passing offense to look good, it's this one. Then Jacob Gibbs with this stat that I thought was even crazier. Since the start of the 2023 season, no cornerback has allowed more receiving yards than Washington's Benjamin St-Juste. In week 1, the Commanders allowed 139 receiving yards to the slot receiver position. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Jalen McMillan all caught their TDs on a route from the slot. Next up, the New York Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson, he operates only out of the slot. He should have a big game. The Commanders' pass defense is a joke. And if Daniel Jones cannot look good versus them, if he can't move the ball, if he can't throw one freaking touchdown, I am going to self-combust on stream Sunday, and it will be the official launch of this channel being a Drew Lock channel. Because if you can't beat Washington, you won't beat the Browns, you won't beat the Cowboys, you won't beat the Eagles, and you might just go 0-17. On the other side of the ball, because the defense has to be much better. And Shane Bowen, the game plan that you called and the execution, it was sloppy, it was conservative, and it was disrespectful to the way that the New York Giants have played defense in the past. You have to keep Jayden Daniels in the pocket. If the Commanders are going to beat you, it's going to be because you're allowing Daniels to create behind the line of scrimmage to find open receivers downfield. Last week in his rookie debut, he didn't look all that good. That's because he's a rookie. It's not because it's year 6. It's because he's a rookie. He threw for 184 yards on 17 completions, 0 touchdowns, 0 big-time throws, and he had an average depth of target, meaning how far on average did he throw the ball downfield? 5.5 yards. It was dink and dunk. Also, Jayden Daniels' average throw on third downs was 7.8 yards short of the sticks, the lowest rate in the league. He's just taking what he gets right away, meaning you're going to have to rally and tackle. This was his spray chart in week 1. The green dots are the completed passes that he made. Make him throw the ball inside the hashes. Make him throw the ball inside the numbers. The easiest thing to do when you're a rookie quarterback is throw it into the flat. Throw it outside the numbers. Make him work that middle part of the field. But most importantly, make him win from inside the pocket. I don't care about the design QB runs that Washington is going to put out, because on 7 design QB runs for Jayden Daniels in week 1, he had 13 yards, 1.9 yards per carry, a 43% success rate, and a 0.08 EPA per play, meaning he added an estimate of 0.08 points per design run. But if you let him break the pocket and you let him scramble, that's where he can beat you. In 7 scrambles, he had 77 yards, 11 yards per carry, 86% success rate, and 1.15 estimated points added per play. That's the only spot I am really worried about Jayden Daniels on the ground. You let him scramble, you let him buy time, you let him eat up those yards, you could be in some trouble. Also, you got to find a way to slow down Scary Terry. He didn't do much in week 1, 2 receptions for 17 yards, but I have seen plenty times that Terry McLaurin has a good day against the New York Giants. He's a good receiver, and he's had, I would say, our number. You got to double team him. You take away Terry McLaurin, you're going to be in a really, really good spot as Sunday gets closer and closer to triple zeros on the clock. You also got to control the line of scrimmage. In a game like this, where you're in the same tier as a team on the opposite sideline of you, when it comes to talent, you got to do the little things. And I think that the team that's able to control the line of scrimmage in the run game, as well as protecting their quarterback for both teams, is going to come out victorious. Washington's pass rush had a pretty good game against Tampa Bay, even though they gave up 37 points. 18 pressures, 14 hurries. They did just have 1 sack, but 18 pressures. And we know the Giants' offensive line historically has not been that good. They played better in week 1, but there was still a little bit more pressure than I would have liked. You're looking at guys like Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Dante Fowler, and Dorrance Armstrong. Those are the 4 guys that generate the most pressure on their team. For the Giants' defense, they got to control the line of scrimmage. And they got to make sure Washington cannot run the football. because they're a team that does not run the football well. In week 1, Washington's running backs and their run game was a joke. Their longest running back run, 7 yards. They had 0 explosive runs. And 22% of their running back runs were stuffed for no gain. Dexter Lawrence, Bobby Okereke, Tyler Nubin filling. I went back and I watched the tape. The Giants did not do a good job of maintaining gap responsibility and filling those gaps. They got to be better, because if you can limit Terry McLaurin and you can stop the run and you make Jayden Daniels beat you from the pocket, you're going to be looking pretty good, in my opinion. Most importantly, though, this dude right here, Kayvon Thibodeaux, you got to show the hell up, man. You've been in the NFL for like 33 games. 7 of those 33 games, you have had 0 tackles. You were terrible in week 1. 0 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss, 0 fumbles, forced fumbles, fumbles recovery. It didn't do anything. And the only team outside of the New York Jets that he's been able to consistently win, consistently generate pressure, is the Washington Commanders. These stats you're about to see are incredible. I didn't believe them, so I had to go look them up, and then I double-checked it. Against the NFC East, Kayvon Thibodeaux in his career, 26 tackles versus the Commanders, 5.5 sacks versus the Commanders, 8 tackles for loss versus the Commanders. Versus the Eagles, 3 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss. Versus the Cowboys, 6 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss. Kayvon Thibodeaux, you didn't like how Jordan Renan asked you after week 1 why the defensive line wasn't able to create pressure. You pretty much blew him off and didn't answer his question. Well, your answer to that question will be how you play against this Commanders offensive line, who actually played pretty well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1. They allowed just 9 pressures and 0 sacks. So they did a good job of protecting Jayden Daniels. No QB hits, no sacks, just 9 pressures. But man, the resources and assets that have been poured in this Giants defensive line, they got to carry you. Dexter Lawrence was unreal in week 1. It feels like we are wasting the prime of a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's how good he is. The number 1 pass rush win rate in the National Football League. He won like 65% of his pass rush snaps. Brian Burns, you need to have your welcome to the New York Giants moment in Kayvon Thibodeaux. If you do not play well and you come out again laying goose eggs and tackles and sacks and tackles for loss, the media, it's going to be at your neck, my man. Now or never for Daniel Jones. The Washington Commanders' defense stinks, specifically their defensive backs. You got to keep Jayden Daniels in the pocket. Do not let him scramble. Control the line of scrimmage, and I need number 5 to have a game. If you do these 4 things, you can win the game. Question is, will they? What do you think? Predict the score for me in the chat right now. Who's going to win, and what is the score going to be? I want to hear from everybody watching right now in the comment section. Look, I'm a diehard Giants fan. I've picked the Giants to win so many games on this channel that I didn't actually think they can win. But this year, I want to try to be more unbiased. I don't think the Giants are going to win this game. I'll be rooting like hell. I want them to win this game. It's more fun when they win. I don't believe in this offense. I don't believe in Daniel Jones. I don't believe in the weapons really outside of Malik Neighbors. And I don't know if I believe in Brian Daboll as a play caller when Daniel Jones is his quarterback. So give me the Commanders, 17-13, but I do think the Giants can win. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there, and please beat the Commanders. Let's go Big Blue.